I'm Marlo Thomas. Join me for Love, Sex, and Marriage, No Strings Attached, Wednesday.
Here's the latest from Eyewitness News. An explosion at a Minneapolis power substation critically injures a 9-year-old boy. Secretary of State George Shultz ends his first Middle East peace mission with a sense of accomplishment and uncertainty. This Mother's Day was the best one of all for a mother and daughter reunited after a quarter of a century. We will have a special report on a disease that leaves its victims prematurely senile, and we will begin a series of reports on what could be the biggest environmental cleanup in Minnesota history. These are just some of the stories coming up next on Eyewitness News at 10.
Old Dutch potato chips, Old Dutch the snappy chips, crispy, crunchy, light and snappy, Old Dutch potato chips.
This is the taste. This is the test. Pepsi versus Coke, the Pepsi Challenge. And all across America, more people pick Pepsi, time after time after time.
Pepsi-Cola.
Oh, what a time. It's gonna be Pepsi now. The winning taste is Pepsi. It's gonna be Pepsi now. Taste what Pepsi's giving. It's gonna be Pepsi now.
I'm Bernadette Peters. Do you know who you are? If you can remember your name and a few other simple details, you can apply for the American Express card. Just fill out the application and let it on a sticky part and then seal it up like this, then find a mailbox. Now, with your right hand, open the mailbox. With your left hand, put the application inside, drop it, close the mailbox. There, wasn't that fun?
Now, Marcia Fleur, meteorologist Dave Dahl, and Larry Burnett with sports. This is Eyewitness News.
Good evening, everyone. One South Minneapolis family is thankful this Mother's Day that their 5-year-old little boy is all right after his frightening adventure into a power substation. But one other family is waiting anxiously to see if their playful 9-year-old will survive a freak accident. Libby Znaimer reports.
9-year-old Ramon Green was electrocuted while he was playing at the Oakland Street substation. It set off an explosion and cut power to 127 homes in the neighborhood. When it happened, the victim was playing with his friend, Patrick Edwards.
When Ramon was climbing up the fence, I was by him, and when it exploded, I ran.
Both of the boys managed to climb over the fence. Once inside, Ramon went to look around. Authorities say he climbed on top of a circuit breaker with exposed wires and received a shock of 4,000 volts. One police investigator said nothing appeared unsafe at the substation. He said it seemed to meet the same standards as others around the city.
The boys are just in there playing. That's about all I can say. Shouldn't be in there.
And you can tell little boys, well, now it's dangerous over there, but they don't understand electricity. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, with their resources, they should do something, put that transform in a cage or enclose the whole enclosure, you know? And I'm just lucky that my little boy's here.
Until the investigation is complete, the utility will not comment on whether or not it is at fault. Libby Znaimer, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, South Minneapolis.
And in Freeborn County tonight, the investigation continues into the death of a woman whose body was found 2 days ago. Today, authorities identified her as 23-year-old Linda Ray Phillips Harris of Blooming Prairie. And an autopsy performed today showed no signs of foul play, leading authorities to believe she may have died of overexposure. The woman was reported missing April 20th. Overseas tonight, Secretary of State George Shultz ended his first Mideast peace mission. Shultz has spent the last 2 weeks trying to squeeze out some kind of an agreement on foreign troop withdrawal from Lebanon. He was successful, though the agreement is somewhat fragile. Israel did agree in principle to withdraw some of its troops, but it expressed reservations about the accord. Then there's Syria, which also has troops in Lebanon. Syria has denounced this agreement, claiming the Israelis still would have a foothold in Lebanon to smash PLO bases there. Still, Shultz was happy he could hammer out an acceptable agreement between Israel and Lebanon. They've been warring so long.
We know that there are difficulties ahead, but we intend to understand these difficulties and work with them.
Israel, for its part, will implement this agreement as soon as possible in order that a better future will be the part of the peoples of Lebanon and Israel.
Schultz promised the United States will do everything it can to make sure the Syrians do not derail the tentative agreement on Israeli withdrawal. Mother's Day was originally intended to honor those mothers who had lost their sons in war. Today in Chicago, some 7,000 people tried to stir some of that original spirit. Invoking the lost tradition, the demonstrators said they were trying to alert the American people to the horrors of the arms race. While in Coalinga, California today, where the horrors of Mother Nature shook the lives of more than 6,000 people in the form of an earthquake this week, the Red Cross decided to do something special for the victims this Mother's Day. Volunteers fixed roast beef dinners and gave all of the victims flowers. Most of the quake victims lost their homes and now live in tents. And here's an update on a reunion we briefly told you about last night. A nonprofit group has brought a Minnesota woman the greatest of all Mother's Days. After a decade of searching, Lucy Hanson of Clearbrook has been reunited with her daughter. They spent the last 27 years apart. As Pat Milan reports, it was a misunderstanding that led to the separation.
After 27 years of searching for one another, mother and daughter have been reunited. Lucy Hanson lost her daughter Ann at the end of World War II. Ann's father, an American corporal, went back to his wife in the States and left Lucy Hanson in West Germany. Lucy couldn't support her child, so she placed her in an orphanage where the greatest of misunderstandings occurred. Lucy signed an English-worded paper approving adoption for her 5-year-old blonde daughter. She only intended, though, for the Americans to keep her for a few days.
He never told me really that was that. And I said, but I can see her again. I get the address where she is. Can I? And they said then, yeah, okay. Was not true. Never, never. They didn't even bring her back that I could say bye. I said, bring her back. Okay, you can have her 2-3 days. Then bring her back, you know.
Ann spent years wondering why her mother allowed her to be adopted. Long nights crying over her mother were shared with a best friend.
Poor Julie. She was so patient. For just the first at least 5 years of my life, every single night, whenever I would spend the night with her, I would tearfully tell her the story of my mother, all the things that happened to me, and she would listen, and I would be just crying and crying, and
I felt it all these years. Oh, I felt it.
They both feel it now, but this time the feelings are of fulfillment, not of emptiness and wondering. For Lucy Hanson and Ann Biskey, this is what Mother's Day is all about.
Oh, I tell you, I never in my whole life had a happier day than that.
Pat Milan, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, St. Paul.
A costly cleanup to get rid of a hazardous material from Minnesota schools will soon be underway. We'll have that story, and we'll have a report on how one patient is coping with a disease that has left him prematurely senile.
If you shop at one of these conventional supermarkets, this will interest you. It's a recent survey of grocery prices in the Twin Cities. It proves that if you've been shopping with them, you've been spending an average of 11 to 20% more than if you shop the country store. That's $11 to $20 more for every $100 you spend. Wouldn't this be a good week to start keeping up to $20 for yourself? The country store. Work a little, save a lot.
At the new Burger King salad bar, you can
eat a pita.
Burger King's got the pita. I like it.
Or a platter.
It's great. Come to Burger King and take your pick. Salad in a pita or on a platter. Piled high with your choice of 23 tempting salad fixings.
Eat a pita.
This is a pita.
Or a platter.
And this is the platter.
Aren't you hungry for salad?
It tastes good.
At Burger King now.
This is a pita. This is a platter.
When TCF offers you a new service,